For the past 2 weeks, each morning at 6:30 a.m., Israel's stand-in Prime Minister, Ehud Olmert, leaves his home on a sedate Jerusalem side street. He leaves early, not only because he's got an awful lot on his plate, but in order to avoid a security rumpus at bell time. There are 3 schools around the Olmert family home at 19 Kaftet B'November Street. Kaftet B'November is the Hebrew for the 29th of November, an important date in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It was on the 29th of November, back in 1947, that the United Nations decided on the division of the historic land of Palestine, the creation of an Arab state and a Jewish state. Now, symbolically, on today's Jerusalem Kaftet B'November, the new Prime Minister is having to grapple with the legacy of a redivision of the land which has been left to him by Ariel Sharón. It seems that the lasting Sharón legacy, political legacy, will be his decision to withdraw Israel from Gaza, which he did last year. And it is the implications of that, which Ehud Olmert is now having to grapple with. Because Sharon's decision to depart from Gaza was perhaps aligned to an intention to depart also from sections of the West Bank. In the meantime, Ariel Sharon's life-threatening brain and heart condition has triggered some powerful responses, not all of them savory. And perhaps the most insensitive of all came from Pat Robertson, the U.S. evangelist, who on his television program told his mass audience that the Prime Minister's stroke was divine retribution for having taken Israel out of the Gaza Strip. "You read the Bible," fumed Robertson. "This is my land," says God. And to any Prime Minister of Israel who decides he's going to carve it up and give it away, God says, "No, this is mine." Now, Robertson has repented, writing to Sharon's son Omri and apologizing. He said, "It was concern for the future safety of your nation that led me to make remarks, which in light of national grief over your father's illness, I can," said the evangelist preacher, "now view as inappropriate and insensitive." Hate-filled remarks have also come closer to home. When Jewish settlers were being evicted from one of the illegally erected settlement outposts that they put up in the West Bank, one young woman yelled at the troops and soldiers who were there to take them away, "What has befallen Arik Sharon is nothing compared to what will befall you," she yelled in full view of the nation on public television. As Ariel Sharon continues his life-threatening battle in the Hadassah hospital, Israelis have set the grief that has gripped them to one side. Politics is thrusting its way back center stage. The focus now then is not only on whether Ariel Sharon will survive, but whether the Sharon legacy can survive Ariel Sharon's departure from the political stage. One man who is coolly trying to ensure that it does that is the man installed in his place, Ehud Olmert. It's also different from a similar parallel situation that developed following the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin 10 years ago. Then Shimon Peres came to the helm. The sympathy for Rabin, the commitment to the Rabin way was such that Peres could easily have installed himself permanently as Prime Minister, it seems, if only he had said, "I am here simply to fulfill the Rabin legacy." But Shimon Peres took another approach. He said, "I am here as Prime Minister to do it my way." It backfired miserably. A short while later, Peres was roundly defeated at the polls, very surprisingly, and the man who took over as Israel's Prime Minister was his youthful competitor for the post, Benjamin Netanyahu of the Likud party. When he convened his first full cabinet meeting as Prime Minister, acting Prime Minister, Ehud Olmert soon invoked the name of the Prime Minister. Arik, he said, using Ariel Sharon's nickname, Arik, he said, "If we had to ask you, what would you say we should do? What should we do? What is the direction we should take?" And then he answered himself. He said, "Fine, Arik, we shall do exactly as you've told us to do. We shall continue doing and continue following the path that you have mapped out for national policy." It's early days yet in this election campaign, but all the polls indicate that Ariel Sharon's Kadima party, that is now Ehud Olmert's Kadima party, will easily shrug off the challenges of Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud from the right and Amir Peretz's Labour from the left. It certainly seems that 2 months before Israelis go to the polls in one of the most critical elections ever in their nation's history, the Ehud Olmert way of projecting himself as doing it not my way, but Arik Sharon's way, in line with the Ariel Sharon political spirit, is going to be a massively winning approach.